What's going on, guys? It's me, Dreamliner Fan 2016 here, and today we have the Museum of Flight tour video for you guys. I hope you guys are excited for today's video. We're not gonna waste further time, and we're just gonna get started right away. Super excited to get into this long-awaited video. The Museum of Flight has got to be one of the best aviation museums in the country. From the first Boeing 747, the Boeing 787, and the history of the company itself, this museum has it all, and I'm just super excited to get into the tour for you guys. So that being said, let's get into the background information about the Museum of Flight and what you need to know about. The Museum of Flight is located south of downtown Seattle and within the vicinity of Seattle's King County Airport, or commonly known as Boeing Field. Opened in 1965, the museum attracts over 500,000 visitors every year and serves more than 140,000 students annually through its on-site programs. It is the largest private air and space museum in the world, housing over 175 aircraft and spacecraft, tens of thousands of artifacts, millions of rare photographs, and much more. Many exhibits from this museum include the Aviation Pavilion, World War I and World War II fighters, the Apollo mission, the 737 Air Theater, and more. Even airplanes like the first 747, 787, 737, and Concorde are also displayed at this museum. In addition, you'll also see Boeing's original manufacturing plant, otherwise known as the Red Barn. You'll find various photographs, films, and workstations that illustrate how wooden aircrafts were manufactured. Be sure to check out the Museum of Flight's website to learn more about who they are and what they do, their operating hours, the entrance fees, and their education programs. They have some amazing resources if ever you plan your visit to this museum in the future. Now that you know some good information, let's jump into what I did on the day I first visited this museum. My last visit to this museum was on June 9th, 2022. Weather on that day was not the ideal weather I was hoping for. There were overcast clouds with a few drizzles that lasted most of the entire day. But regardless on how rainy it was, I was still excited to step foot into this museum for the first time. So why don't we get started, shall we? Alright everybody, and here we go with the Museum of Flight tour. Super excited to get into this museum for the first time, and overall, as I said, the museum has a nice assortment of aircrafts on display. And yeah, I'm gonna go into all these pictures because we got a lot of them. So we're gonna get started right here with this beautiful TCA Lockheed Super Constellation on display. That's like outside at the front entrance right there. So as you can see, this is in the Trans-Canadian Airways livery right there, and it does look nice on the Super Constellation, as you can see. So you got all the various, I think these could be what do you call these, stability pieces right there, and then you got the piston-driven engines right there. So I think these are Pratt & Whitney engines, I think. And yeah, the livery looks very nice. And here's all the specifications of the Model 1049G Super Constellation right there. So as you can see, the Museum of Flight's Constellation at Empire Aero Center. So this used to be in New York back then. And yeah, as you can see, you got all the various specifications and the stats of the aircraft. As you can see, this aircraft has 4 Wright Cyclone R3350 turbo compound engines right there. The wingspan of the aircraft, I can try to look at it, is about 1,654 feet in square miles, and the height is 24 feet. The length of the aircraft is 113 feet, and 123 feet of the span of the aircraft. And here's some specifications right there. So really cool to see a Super Constellation here in the Museum of Flight in this beautiful Trans-Canadian Airlines. Yeah, Trans-Canadian Airlines Super Constellation right there in front of the museum. And here's the entrance to the museum. So as you can see, welcome all, and then you have the Museum of Flight logo right there. And then here's another look at the tail. Well, here's a look at the tail of the Super Constellation. You got the aircraft registration, which is Charlie Foxtrot Tango Golf Echo. And it's kind of really interesting on how Canadians registered their planes back then. So rather than just having a Charlie and a dash, they have a Charlie Foxtrot and then a dash would follow afterwards. And I think this could be the serial number of the aircraft, Super Constellation right there. So that'll be 405. And then you got the Super G and the Super Constellation tiles right there. And as you can see part of, not sure if you can see it, but there is some parts of Boeing Field. Now, this was recorded, or as I said already, this was taken back in 2022. So I'm not sure if they updated the museum ever since my last visit. So yeah, I may have to hopefully try to do another Museum of Flight video, but kind of like a more accurate detail, but this is kind of like the best photos I got. So not all aircrafts were pictured, but this is kind of like the best photos I got on that day. So here's the tail of the Super Constellation, and here's like the backside of the Super Constellation right there. You got the engines and the main landing gear right there, and the Trans-Canada Airlines towers right there. You got some very nice windows right there as well. And overall, the museum looks like this aircraft looks absolutely very nice. We're gonna be going inside the museum in a moment, but there we go. So here's the inside of the museum. So as you can see all the various aircrafts right there, and then this is where you would like get your tickets right there. So this would be the general admissions area, and then the members over here. So yeah, and then you also got some various gift shops. There's like a gift shop over there that I'm gonna be going to later on. And then you got all the various like artifacts and aircrafts that are on display. So that's it for the first clip. Now I'm gonna go into like a couple of video clips. So one of the video clips is me showcasing the beautiful TCA Super Constellation, and then we're gonna be going into like the video clips where I go inside the museum for the first time. So without being said, let's roll into those clips. What's going on, guys? And we are here inside the Museum of Flight, and my god, look at this. Now this is such a beautiful display of planes right here. There's like the Wright brothers plane. I believe this is like Boeing's first plane, I think. And we got some more. I think the Spirit of St. Louis is somewhere right there. A DC-3. Wow, this is absolutely beautiful. So here we have Boeing's first plant, where they make all the airplanes. So this is plant 1, bomb map. Started in 1918, Boeing's first plant expanded, adding 9 new buildings to fulfill World War I contracts. So pretty much here, they're gonna be like making some warplanes. There's like some lumber over there, and yeah, there's like a tugboat, water tower. I think this is the actual factory itself. I think this is another part of the factory, but we do have, like I said, there is 9 buildings. And yeah, really nice model display. Alright, now let's move on to the next round of pictures. So this next picture you're seeing here is like the blueprint of Boeing's first plant. So as you can see all like the various like factories they have. So this is the red barn, for example. So this is, I'm guessing this is where they were like make the wings of the aircraft right there. And then you got the general office, which is located right here. I think this is where like William E. Boeing would be staying at and like looking at the business and all that, or like monitoring the business. Next up, you got the machines shop right there. So that's where it's located right here. You got the boiler room as well, and then you got the linen room. I'm guessing this is where they make the fuselage. The dope room, like the dope room, is also another location. And this is the body assembly plant like there. So this is where they build all the planes. You got the float storages right there. So I think this is where they like keep the floats in like a storage space right there. And yeah, that's like pretty much Boeing's first ever plant. So once again, this is like the first plant. It's situated here at the Boeing, like the Boeing field right there. And they do have the red barn, which is of course, once again, this is where they house all like the various like wooden materials and like wooden wings right there. So here's like a mini scale version of like the Boeing plant during its time. So as you can see, you got the Boeing airplane.co, and then you got some various people and cars right there. And then yeah, you can see all like the various like plants they have. So this could be one of the factory buildings right there. And then you got the Boeing airplanes. I think this could be like the final assembly plant right there. So as you can see, you got the Boeing airplanes.co on the roof right there. And then you got a various like architecture design of like the building itself. And then you also got a water tower right there. So really cool on how this was replicated in like a small scale. Here is the Wright Flyer. So of course, I think many of you know this, but for those who are new, the Wright Flyer is the first ever airplane that is powered using its own power. So this aircraft first flew in 1903, kind of like around that November 1903 area right there. So this aircraft really changed how we see aviation, how we see we see aviation in general. So like in terms of like carrying passengers. So once again, this is the first ever powered airplane to carry passengers, and it had a very nice flight span during its time. So As you can see, here's a picture of like the specifications of the Wright Flyer. So as you can see, here are your specifications right there. So it's only powered by 4 cylinders and a water-cooled 12 horsepower engine. So it wasn't as powerful like compared to like the engines you have today. Wingspan is 40 feet, length is 21 feet 1 inch. Yeah, span is 40 feet 4 inches, length is 21 feet and 1 inch. Height is 9 feet and 3 inches. Wing chord is about 6 feet and 6 inches. Wing area is about 510 square feet. The weight loaded the aircraft, so the weight when it's loaded with the passengers is about 750 feet, and the empty weight of the aircraft is 605 feet. And yeah, this was donated by the Bruce and Jolene McCaw, the Apex Foundation and the Discovery of Flight Foundation. So here are like, these are some more blueprints right there, and then you got some various like history that's placed over there. And then yeah, here it is. So kind of like, you can pause this whatever you like, but I'm not gonna really read the whole thing, but I do want to mention like how the Wright brothers managed to make the world's first powered airplane. So as you can see, they had their flight on December 17th of 1903 at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, in their 1903 machine, becoming the first airplane to achieve man-powered, sustainable, heavier-than-air, and controlled flight. So pretty much that airplane you're seeing, so this airplane in general, this gave way to like many new inventions of like heavier-than-air airplanes, like your typical like GA airplanes and commercial airplanes and all your various airplanes right there. So this is what started like the change in like passenger travel. So that's really cool to see this on display. And then here's like I know the image is dark. I also took a picture of this on my DSLR camera. So as you can see, here's like the full description of like the Wright Flyer reproduction. So you can pause and read. It's a lot of wording, but they did explain it really so nicely on this aircraft right there. So really cool to see right there. And then here's another shot of the Wright Flyer with Orville Wright and the others. And then here we have the Boeing B&W, so also known as the Model 1. So as you can see, this is Boeing's first ever airplane they did back in 1960 when the company was founded. So as you can see, here's the description right there. So this is actually a replica of the aircraft. So I'll also show you a picture of the plane as well. So you can pause and read, of course. So yeah, once again, just like the Wright Flyer, they have some great information and like the history on how this plane became the first Boeing airplane. And then you got William Boeing right there in the portrait right there. And then you got the specifications and then 1916 B&W. So this, of course, is a seaplane aircraft. So here are your specifications. Wing area is 580 square feet. So the span is 52 feet. Length is 31 feet and 2 inches. I already said the wing area, but I won't say it again. I'll say it again. That's what I meant to say. So the wing area is 580 square feet. Weight loaded the aircraft is 2,080 pounds. The weight when it's empty is 2,800 pounds. That's when the weight is loaded. Weight, or like the empty weight, is 2,100 pounds. And the engine is powered by a Hall Scott A5 125 horsepower engine, which is just only one. As for the cruising performances, so the cruise speed of the aircraft is 67 miles per hour, top speed is 75 miles per hour, and the range of the airplane, it can't fly that far, it only flies 220 miles, but it's acceptable for a very old, small airplane like that. And here's the picture of the Model 1. So once again, this is the first Boeing airplane they ever did. So as you can see all like the various like woods they did, and overall it looks very nice. The Model 1 is just like a simple seaplane, but other than that, this really gave way to Boeing to enter like the aviation industry. So once again, they were founded on July 5th. Well, I didn't say the actual date, but they were founded on July 15th of 1916, and this is the plane that started it all. So really cool to see this replica of the Boeing Model 1 here at the Museum of Flight, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. It's a very nice airplane. Next up, we have the Boeing Model 40B. So this is like another Boeing model plane during like the old times. This was made in 1928. So here's like the full description of the aircraft. So yeah, you can see all your specifications right there. So I don't want to zoom in, but you can pause and read. I'm not really gonna go through everything. I'm just gonna like go into like some airplanes, but you can pause and read so you can take a look at this. And then you got like a history of like the early days of airmail. So during like the 1920s, like 1930s, air travel wasn't really a thing. Like it was a thing, but not the air travel you see today. They also have some airmail companies that they would like deliver mail on like on a daily basis. So yeah. But other than that, it's really interesting on how the early stages of aviation started off with like just air mails, and they like deliver pilots would like deliver mail to all these other people sometimes. Not sure if they actually drop mail too, but they would like land at a certain spot and then they'll give the mail to the person, and yeah. So here's one of the airplanes right there. They're mostly operated by piston-driven airplanes, like biplanes and all that. But it's really cool to see some airplanes that were made during like the airmail times, and it's a really nice history to learn about like the airmail area, the airmail era of the aviation industry. So this is operated by American Railway Express. So here's one of the airplanes they operated. I think that's a registration, Charlie 290. I'm not sure if that's actually like the registration of this airplane right there, but it came like I know there was like a November Charlie, and then after some time having that registration, it now transferred to a November registration. So I'm not sure if this airplane has a Charlie. It started off with like Charlie, but it's really cool. So this is like the full replica of this aircraft in general. So this is the model, what is this? Model 40B. And overall, it's a very nice airplane right there. This is a conventional gear. Well, I'm not sure if you call it a conventional gear because I don't see its tail wheel, but it's a really cool design for this airplane right there. Next up, we have a very interesting exhibit right here. So this is like, I'm guessing this could be like the Apollo mission era, like the area of the museum. So like all the various like space flights and all that. So you can see all the various spacecrafts they have. You got some various like equipment they have. You got some gloves. So I'll show you some pictures of all like the space areas right there. So here's like the control panel. So like this is like mission control. This is like what they would use when they're like conducting some missions on like the Apollo mission. So I think that you can see this on like the Houston Control Center right there. So this is like one of the, so you can see all like the various buttons and like the computer screen right there. So it's a really cool design, and I think it fits perfect for like the 60s era. It has that 60s vibe to it. So that's really cool right there. You got some pictures right here. So before human space flights, astronauts or like some other like organizations, especially NASA, would transport like animals to space. So they started off with monkeys, and then they would also have dogs in there too. There were some successful flights and some that didn't go successful, but mostly successful. So you got him, for example. He was one of like the first animals to fly to space, and then you got some more animals, well, monkeys of course. And yes, monkeys were the beginning, like started off the space travel for human space travel. So yeah, they want to like test out monkeys because they have like similar like things. They're similar to humans. That's all I can say. But that's really cool to learn some history of space aviation right there. Next up, you got, well, this is kind of like shows like a description of like the first animals in space, so you can pause and read. I'll go through each of them and then you can pause. So they were transferred monkeys, dogs, chimpanzees, and yeah, that's it. So you got all the various like dogs and then monkeys, all like the various animals that traveled to space, and this was all from like the space race. So you got like organizations like US, which is NASA, and then you got the Soviet Union or USSR also transport animals to space as well. So here is all like the description right there. Next up, we got a picture of Laika, who is like a dog from the Soviet Union. She was on Sputnik 2. So here's like a description right there. So if you want to go like not too much in this, but they pressurized the cabin on Sputnik 2, and I think Laika is the first animal to like orbit the entire Earth. Unfortunately, her re-entry didn't go out as planned, but on that, she made she was part of the history books in terms of like the space race. And other than that, this is an actual picture right there in her capsule before she got transported to Sputnik 2, or this is kind of like a test capsule, but I'm assuming this could be like the actual capsule before she was transported to Sputnik 2. So really cool. They have a picture of Laika right there, Laika the Soviet space dog. And then here's like a more clear version of Laika's description right there. So that's that. And then we're gonna end this portion of the video clip right here with this beautiful model replica of the Saturn V rocket. So all these various rockets right here. Of course, the Saturn V being one of them. So as you can see, you got like various details from all the panels to like all the extra like extension pieces right there to like all the decals that are placed to rocket boosters, and then you got some other rockets. I think these were mostly test rockets they operated, but the Apollo mission was conducted by the Saturn V rocket, so really cool to see. And I think that this is like a smaller scale version of the Saturn V rocket right there, so that's really cool. They also have that. And yeah, that's where we're gonna end off the video clips. I know this is kind of like the aspect ratio of my screen doesn't really fit the entire thing, but yeah, I mean I can try rotating it so you can like rotate your phone, but I mean I can try that or just leave it like that. But other than that, really cool to see right here. And that's gonna do it for the second portion of these video clips right there. So with that being said, I got more video clips to show you guys. Hang on, I do want to make sure that I'm trying to like make sure to see everything. I think this is about okay. So got more video clips to showcase to you guys. So with that being said, let's move on to the next round of video clips. Welcome to the Apollo room. This is where the Apollo mission happened, which is basically the first man on the moon, Neil Armstrong. There's the video of the moment where Neil Armstrong becomes the first man on the moon. This is an old, I think this is like this is a 60s TV. So this TV is very old, but yeah.
So there's the foot on the moon, stepping down on the moon. If he's testing that first step, he must be stepping down on the moon at this point.
And I wonder where that quote is gonna be. And here is the moment Neil Armstrong is on the moon.
38-year-old American standing on the surface of the moon.
Now where's that quote? Where's that famous quote? July 20th, 1960. There it is. There's that quote, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, Neil Armstrong was an amazing astronaut, and he made history as he's the first man on the moon. Alright, now moving on to some more photos. Now I hope you guys enjoyed those two videos of me like filming like the various like moon landings that Neil Armstrong had. So those two previous clips, there was like a, I think there's like a exhibit, like a Apollo exhibit, but when you enter you can see like 1960s like house, like interior of a house, and then you have a TV that's playing Neil Armstrong's landing on the moon. So that's really cool. So now we move on to a couple more Apollo exhibits right here. So here we have all like the various last men on the moon. So I think this is like showing like the last men on the moon before like a long hiatus. So here these two guys right there, you got like this spacecraft right there. So it shows like the spacecraft has a very nice design to it. So these are like what the spacecrafts looked like during the 60s, and you got like the moon rover right there and like the moon surface right there. And then here is the module 007A, so the Apollo Command module 007A. So this is kind of like, it's on top. I'll show you a picture on the next clip or the next picture in a moment. So here's like a full description right there. Nice like details on like the command itself, like the space probe itself, and then it also shows some pictures right there when it landed in the water. And here's the space probe right there. So as you can see, if you look inside, you can see all the various like, so like these are like the controls, and then you can see like the windows over there. So like the windows that looked over the Earth and the moon itself, and then you all have the various controls that propel the aircraft to the moon. So really cool that they also display this here right there. And then here's a rocket right there. So this is one of the rockets that ended up like going into the water. So here's a rocket that's on display, and they actually retrieved this from the ocean. So after the rocket boosters, now I'm guessing this came from like the Saturn V rocket, I guess. But when the rocket itself separated, it landed in the water. Like many parts of the rocket landed in like the ocean floor. So Here is the Rocketdyne F1 engine component. So you can see all the various components right there. Like they have the, so like, let me zoom in. So right here we have the thrust chamber, and then you got the gas generator and heat exchanger right there. So this is like what a rocket engine like of a spacecraft looks like. So that's really cool that they show some details right there. And then the F1 engine sits at around like 4,267 meters below sea level. So that's how deep it was. Heck, it's kind of like deeper than Air France 447 that it's depicting on a photo. They also show show some photos as well, like the deep points compared to the F1 engine. Like they show like the depth of this, like the wreck of the RMS Titanic, and they also show the wreck of Air France Flight 447. So as I get back, so really cool that this engine sat at that depth of the bottom of the ocean, at the surface of the ocean, and they managed to retrieve it out and have it displayed right here. So that's really cool right there. And then you got all the various sunken rockets. So the mission to rise the F1. So here are all like the various components of the F1 engine right there. And then moving on to like a couple of more planes. Here's another plane. Well, before that, I think this could be some more F1 This could be like the F1 injector of Apollo 12. So that's that. Next up, we move on to another airplane right there. So this aircraft is named the City of Auburn, and this is another Boeing plane, and that is the Boeing Model 8081A. It's a Pioneer Pullman of the year, and then yeah, shot ended up being a little bit blurry. Like I'm not sure if you can see it. You can slightly see it, but it ended up not being as clear as compared to this. But other than that, this is still a good shot of the Boeing. Trying to think of it. Boeing Model 80 model. I'll just call it Model 80. So this is the Model 80. It had its first flight somewhere around 1929. It almost reminds me of like a Ford, it's like one what is that? Oh yeah, it almost reminds me of like those Ford planes that Ford used to build. So kind of reminds me that they actually had like one engine in the front and then two engines on each side of the wing. So yeah, this is really cool right there. So once again, this is the Boeing Model 80, the Model 80A-1. I think this is a much more clear. So yeah, you got all your various like description right there, and it also talks about the luxury of this aircraft right there. And here are some more shots of the City of Auburn, or the Model 80. So really nice plane overall, and overall it's a really cool aircraft right there. So that's the Model A. Next up, we move on to the World War II exhibit. So I'm really fascinated about World War airplanes, so all the various like fighters and all the various bombers that were used during World War II. So here's the entrance of the World War II exhibit right there. And we're gonna get things started with this beautiful P-51 Mustang right there, with a beautiful eagle on the decal. So this is a P-51-D Mustang, and it's like one of the most popular World War II fighters during like that time, during the 40s. So here are your various descriptions right there. Cruising speed of the aircraft is 362 miles per hour, and the range of this aircraft, it could travel so as you can see, it could travel about like 950 miles on the internal field, but with the drop tanks, so the drop tanks, that's for like the aircraft that, like the drop tanks, I think those are like the tanks that have like extra fuel. So with the drop tanks, the aircraft could travel at 1,650 miles. So that's really cool that this aircraft can also be for long range. Now I think for the purpose of like these drop tanks is, yeah, as I said before, so the airplane can travel farther, but it can also reach like various like areas like around Europe or like Asia. They're like the Pacific region. So really cool that this aircraft you're seeing right here is displayed here. And overall, the P-51 Mustang is a very cool aircraft. They have I've seen them at air shows, and they have really, the engine itself, they produce a very nice sound. So the power plant is one Rolls-Royce Merlin V16507 V12 engine of 1,490 horsepower. So that's a very powerful engine right there. And overall, when I see this plane at air shows, I would always see it as it flies by. That engine sound looks very nice. So here's a front picture, and then you can see like all the guns, the turrets section. So these are the turrets of the aircraft. So there's one turret right there, and then you got another turret right there. Here's some more shots. I also got this on my DSLR camera. A bit dark, but hey, I mean, it's good. It's look good. It's also clear too, so that's really nice. Next up, you got a P-47D Thunderbolt right there. So this is another World War II fighter right there, and it's kind of like larger than the P-51. So here is the P-40. The aircraft name is Big Stud, and then you also got like a playing card right there. So this is what it looks like right there, and here's the description of the Thunderbolt right there. So of course you can pause and read. I think around this side you can slightly make out, like see it over it, like you can slightly see it, but in case I need it. Yeah, kind of like hard to see, but here's the description of the P-47D. And here is another aircraft, and I also seen this in air shows too, well the Capital Air Show in this case. This is a P-38L Lightning, so this is a dual, like a twin engine fighter, well not really a fighter, this is actually a bomber plane, so they're like drop bombs at various targets right there. You also got some machine guns right there, and then here's the description of the P-38. So it's another famous like World War II fighter, and might be a fighter, or mainly the main role for this aircraft in particular is just dropping bombs. That's it. So this is a bomber plane, and overall it's still good. It's a very cool looking aircraft, just like the P-51 and the P-47D. And then yeah, here's another picture of the P-51 I also took. Down the lighting looks a lot better since I also took this photo. Well, I took this photo on my phone, so lighting up here, like the lighting background appeared a lot more better. And then here's like the overview of the World War II exhibit right there. So you got all your various like fighters right there, and then yeah, it's just only this plane, which is the bomber, the P-38L Lightning. That's the only bomber displayed in this exhibit, but most of them are like fighters. Might have to like go back to this exhibit so I can explore more about in this exhibit, of course, and learn more about the history of World War II planes. And I think they also have a World War I exhibit too, so I also need to like look at that once I come back. So here are your various pictures, and then here's like another picture of the P-51, and then you also got like various like extra things. So these are all like the descriptions and then all the various artifacts right there. So really cool. You also got some Medal of Honor fighter pilots during World War II right there, and it shows you the Medal of Honor right there for the Air Force. And overall, really cool to see this exhibit, and hopefully I can try to come back there so I can explore more of this museum, including the World War I museum. Now, that's it for this round of photos right there. Now, I think this next video clip, I'm guessing this is me when the next video clip shows me going outside of this bridge. So like I cross this bridge that leads to the aviation pavilion. So I think I got one video clip of that. If not, I think I may have got multiple, but I think I just only got one video clip of that. So with that being said, let's roll into the video clip, and then we're gonna move on to some more photos afterwards. Just heading on top of the sky bridge because I'm about to go into that. I think this is the aviation pavilion, if I can pronounce that correctly, but this is probably gonna be my favorite part of the Museum of Flight because we got like big aircraft right there. Oh boy, this is gonna be like, honestly, I'm excited to finally come to like the actual, this part of the museum technically is what I'm referring to, because the first 747 is there, the 787 is there. Wow, I'm really excited. Here we go, boys. But before the aviation pavilion, I also want to go over these photos of all these various spacecrafts, or like these various spaceships that are on display before the aviation pavilion. So there's like an exhibit where it features all these various spacecrafts, and I think east of that is the aviation pavilion. So I did stop by to see these various like spacecrafts that are on display. Now these are all replicas. So you got the space shuttle right there, and then you also got Spaceship One right there. So that's really cool. They also have this on display as well. So we're gonna scroll through this quickly. So here is the space shuttle right there. So a very nice look at the space shuttle. You also got a miniature display of the space shuttle with its fuel tank and rocket boosters right there. And then you got a NASA astronaut right there. And then yeah, all your various like components and artifacts of the space shuttle, and then all your various spacecrafts all there, or satellites, I think. So here's what the inside looks like when I board the space shuttle. So as you can see, this is where the satellite will be displayed, and once they're about to like take it into space, they would open up this hatch, and then they would have like this big claw that would like like extend, and then it'll release the satellite right there, and then that's when the space shuttle would return to orbit of the Earth. So really cool that this is displayed. While not like the actual space shuttle itself, it's really cool to see a mock-up display or a mock-up replica of the space shuttle aircraft right there. And then here's, once again, here is the inside of the space shuttle right there. And then here's Spaceship One. Now, Spaceship One is basically like, how can I word this? But I did see a couple of actual planes. So this is November 328 Kilo Foxtrot, and this is by Virgin Galactic. And I think what that is, I think, guessing Spaceship One is like a single man aircraft, and then he managed to like travel orbitally to Earth by himself. So no need for like any crew. He just traveled to space by himself. So really cool that this is here. And then yeah, it's kind of like a small spacecraft. In fact, I do want to like show like the description, but yeah, it's a experimental air launched rocket powered aircraft, which is capable at speeds up to 3,000 feet. And then really cool, yeah, really cool aircraft, I'll say. So the actual aircraft itself is now displayed at the National Air and Space Museum in Washington DC. And yeah, it's kind of, yeah, I'm looking at all these like various history of Spaceship One, but yeah, this kind of like gave way for like all the various like projects that Virgin Atlantic. I was thinking of like Virgin Atlantic as the area, but Virgin Galactic will be doing in the next future projects, like Voyager 2, for example. So really cool to see this. And is that it for like? Well, there's another picture of Spaceship One, but that's all for like the photos from the spaceship area. But really cool to see the replica of the space shuttle and Spaceship One here on display at the Museum of Flight. Now we're getting to the fun part. So this next clip shows you guys me entering the Aviation Pavilion, and my god, I really love this exhibit so much, and I'm super excited to see all the airplanes that are being displayed there. So with that being said, I'm just really excited, beyond words, I'll say. But with that being said, let's get into the video clip of me entering the Aviation Pavilion. Let's do it, everybody. Here we go, boys, the Aviation Pavilion. Opening that door. Ooh, it's raining, but there it is, boys. Wow. We got like a B-17 right here. And wow, look at that. I see the first, oh my goodness, I'm in front of the Concorde. This is my first time seeing the Concorde, but man, what a beauty. We also got the first 787, the first 747, 727. Wow, this feels like a dream come true. Wow, I can't believe I'm finally here. Wow, what a beautiful display right here, folks. Wow, take a look at this lineup of aircraft, ladies and gentlemen. So this is the Aviation Pavilion at the Museum of Flight, and they got a great assortment of airplanes right there. So as you can see, there's like one of the Boeing planes right there. There's like an Air Force One. There's the 727 and the first 747 that's peeking over there. Wow. And there's a B-29 as well. So this is so cool, ladies and gentlemen. So you can see all the various photos right here. This shows you how big the pavilion is, this exhibit is, and see all the various aircraft that are currently displayed right here. This is awesome. So as you can see, all like the airplanes right there. So there's the Concorde, the Boeing 787, the Boeing 747, the 727, and there's also the 737. But you also got some fighters and bombers as well, and some other civilian planes. So this is really cool. We'll start things off with this beautiful B-29 Super Fortress right here. So here's like, this is number 54. And yeah, this is one of the bombers that were used during World War II. In fact, this is actually one of the aircraft that was used to drop the bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So this aircraft was used for that, and overall the design of this aircraft looks absolutely nice. And then given to like its World War II era, the cockpit window design looks acceptable for what it is. And then you got a very nice looking livery of the aircraft, and then you also got your turrets right there and your propeller engines right there. So here's a description of the B-29, and yeah, very nice description along with photos to go with that. And then you got the specifications of the aircraft right there, so you can pause and read, of course, to learn to take a look at it. Alright, so now we move on. Next up, we have this beautiful B-17 Flying Fortress right there. So this is one of the fighter planes Boeing produces during World War II. and as you can see, it has a very nice gray, like really gray, but a nice green camouflage livery to really blend in with the sky. But really cool to see this aircraft also on display, and this is like another bomber aircraft since this aircraft also drops bombs. You also got the Boeing, like, how can I word this? This is like a decal that has the Boeing logo right there. So this is like the Boeing logo during the 1940s or 1930s, and then you also got the cockpit windows and then your turrets right there. So I think this could be like the pilot's area, and this could be the turret area, like a turret area. And then you also got the propellers right there. And here's the description of the flying fortress right there, and then all your various like descriptions right there. So I'll go over, like, not really go over, but I'll just like leave it like that so you guys can pause it and then read it. And yeah, the men and women in the factory manufactured up to 16 flying fortresses a day, produced these in 1945 of April as the war near its end. So really cool to see. There are like a bunch of like B-17s that were produced. So here's that. It can accommodate 10 crew, and this aircraft is powered by four Wright R 1820-97 Cyclone 9-cylinder Hoidal engine. So really cool. The aircraft's wingspan is about like, it has an exceptional wing area, so 1,420 square meters, and the wingspan of the aircraft, well, not sure where the wingspan is, but yeah, there's that. And then here we go. Oh man, this is really exciting. So here is the Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner that's displayed in this museum, and really excited to get into this. Now I do have like a full like aircraft tour video of this aircraft. Now this is actually the third Boeing 787 Dreamliner. So this is like one of the prototype 787 Dreamliners that are displayed. So I think three prototype Dreamliners are currently on display. So this is one of them. So this is the 787-8. This is number 3, the third aircraft right there. I think number 2 is displayed at the Paima Air and Space Museum in Tucson, Arizona. And the first prototype, which is the first 787 Dreamliner, is currently displayed in like a museum in Japan. So really cool. It's really cool to see one of the first of 3 787 Dreamliners that were in the prototype. Now I do have a video. Once again, I do have like a full aircraft tour video on my YouTube. I also play a couple of clips of me going into like the aircraft itself, and yeah, going over like various like photos and like showcasing some videos for you guys. I'll also provide like a full description on the time card that you're gonna see. No, not really time card, but I'll leave a card of the full video of the aircraft tour of this 787 Dreamliner, and I mean, honestly, I really did a good job on explaining. I mean, this was me in 2022. I'm different in 2024, but this is me while I was recording videos during 2022. But I want to improvise some content for you guys so you can take a look. So without being said, let's move on into So let's move on to some video clips of me exploring my favorite aircraft, the Boeing 787 Dreamliner. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Man. Let's take a look at that. Let me just like adjust the brightness a bit. But wow. Bit of tight squeeze, but
building on a tradition of innovation and visionary
look at this.
design, the
Wow.
Boeing 787 Dreamliner.
Man. So there's like the head-up display, the throttle, the yoke, the display, like the display right there. Wow. There we go. There we go. That's much better. But wow. There's cockpit. When you go around. Another favorite part of the Dreamliner is this beautiful like technology where you press that to dim the windows.
No need to replace the display hardware.
I know it's kind of like hard to see. It's kind of like rainy, but man. Here's the first delivered 787 Dreamliner to ANA. And I think the registration, it says 801, so I believe this registration would be Juliet Alpha 861, no, hang on, Juliet Alpha 801 Alpha. Or, yeah, I think I'm correct with the registration. And here's another picture of the Boeing team celebrating the delivery of the first 787 to launch customer, ANA, and this took place on September 6, 2011. So that's basically 10 years ago. So yeah, the Boeing 787 aircraft is about like 11 years old, and man, time flies by fast. Alright guys, so as you saw from those video clips, it's really cool to tour a Boeing 787 Dreamliner in person. And yeah, once again, the full video of my tour of this Dreamliner, it will be on the description of the video or on the card that I mentioned before. But let me go over the photos. So here's the cockpit of the 787. As you can see the head-up display, the throttle, and the flight management computer, and then your various head-up displays right there and the autopilot. Really cool, and it's pretty much like a nice modern design of your Boeing 787 cockpit right there. So really cool to see that. Next up, we got all the various things, the various information or facts about the Boeing 787 Dreamliner. And then you can see the 787 Dreamliner titles right there, the logo itself, Building a Dream, and here's all the various descriptions and all that. So as you can see, now I can zoom closer. Now the assembly lines are in Everett, North Charleston, and South Carolina in general. So those are your Everett, Washington, North Charleston, South Carolina. And yeah, those are the plants that are located that build the Dreamliner. And as you can see, oops, got a lot of photos right there. And as you can see, pretty much you can see the innovations of the Dreamliner. So take for example the rake wingtips, and then your chevron tooth designs on the cowling of the engines, and then the aircraft's carbon composite material, all the various composite materials that the aircraft has. So really cool to see that. And then here is all the various other dreams to reality stuff. So you can see ZA003, which is the third Dreamliner. It always does these testing. So here's one of the planes doing here's the aircraft doing an extreme temperature testing at Florida right there. And then you can see in the interior of the aircraft, you can see all the various all the other test components, as you can see here. And then there's your various route maps right there. Continue progress, and then as you can see, all the various aircraft. So we got the various so kind of zooming in. So you can see all the various information about the 788, 789, and 7810, and of course launch customer being On Upon Airways. And as you can see the launch of the 788, first flight of the 788, and the first delivery of the Dash 9 and the Dash 10 as well. So here's a picture of ANA's first Dreamliner and the first delivered Dreamliner in general. And you can see Boeing employees celebrating the first delivery of the 787 Dreamliner to customer ANA on September 26, 2011. And then on August 26, 2011, you can see the first 787 to ANA on display right there. So really cool. Here's some more information right there. The Dream Tour. So the Dreamliner had a couple tours they had visited. And then here is the 787 Dreamliner ceremony at the Museum of Flight right there. So really cool to have this on display as well. And then here's a nice table of various 787 first flight memorabilia technically. So you got some models right there, you got the model of the Dreamlifter right there, and then you got the model of the 787-8 right there. You also got your various water bottles and your cards, and then there's some pins. And then what's cool about this display is they also feature the Boeing 787 scarf and the first delivered 787 Dreamliner. So employees did wear this during the first delivery of the 787-8 to ANA. So really cool that they also had this on display. And as I look around, you can see the first 737 right there. I'll go into that later on. But you can see the nice rake wingtip, the nice wing of the 787. As you can see the rake wingtip right there. Flaperon, flaps, ailerons. It's really cool to travel as a passenger, and you can look around the 787. That is so cool right there. And once more, here is the cockpit right there. I think this is a more clear version of the cockpit, but I do want to zoom in to get you all the features of the cockpit of the 787. But this is so cool. It's really fun to explore my favorite aircraft, which of course 787 Dreamliner is the name, and that's how my username Dreamliner Fan 2016 came to existence. You got the information about the 787's origins right there, and then the new technologies, electric airplane, and smart surfaces this aircraft provides. And then here's a view where you can see the Rolls-Royce Trent 1000 engine. So this is one of the engines the 787 operates alongside the GEnx engine, and this is really a killer view, I'd say. If you're traveling on business class on a 787, this is a really cool view right there. You get to be in front of the Trent 1000 engine right there, and then you can see the rake wingtip right there. That's absolutely very cool right there. And then you can see the 787 building the 787 Dreamliner. Once again, it has some global partners, so it's not just like Everett is where they build a Dreamliner, but you got some other locations around the world like Europe, Asia, Australia, mostly North America, but you got some other various like locations, and the final assembly plant will be in Everett, Washington. Yeah, you can pause and read all this information if you want right there. So yeah, really nice details right there, and it also shows you like which sides are carbon fiber. So most of the aircraft is carbon, like most of the aircraft is made out of carbon, but you also got some aluminum, titanium, and others. And then here's a front shot. Oh man, I love this so much, but this is the front shot of the 787 Dreamliner. That is really cool. I think the registration of the Dreamliner was, I think it is November 787, I think Bravo Alpha. I think that's, or maybe Bravo Alpha was, Bravo Alpha is the first Dreamliner. I think this is Bravo X-Ray, I think. So November 787 Bravo X-Ray, or yeah, I think this could be 787 Bravo X-Ray. So this is the aircraft that is displayed at the Museum of Flight in Everett, Washington, November 787 Bravo Alpha, the third Boeing 787 Dreamliner. So it's really cool to once again see this marvelous looking airplane, and overall really cool. Here's another shot. I also got this from my DSLR camera. This is a very nice shot of the Dreamliner. Really cool to get like a front shot. The Dreamliner would always be my airplane that I would really love for many years to come, and I'm hoping I can try to fly on a Boeing 787 Dreamliner in the future, because I would love to and get to experience what the Dreamliner experience is all about. But really cool to see a Dreamliner on display at the museum, and then you can see all the various like characteristics right there, all these stats and all that. I do want to read the various I want to read all of this. So the span of the aircraft is 197 feet. Length of the aircraft is 186 feet. The height is 56 feet. Wing area is 3,501 square feet. The weight load of the aircraft, so when the aircraft is loaded with passengers, that aircraft weighs 502,500 pounds. When this aircraft is empty, so this is the empty weight of the aircraft, it weighs 259,300 pounds right there. And the power plant for this aircraft, it comes with two engines, so those are two Rolls-Royce Trent 1000. Excuse me. So the two engines that this aircraft operates are two Rolls-Royce Trent 1000 engines of 58,000 to 70,000 horsepower, I think, or like thrust. And then the other engine is two GENX engines with 64,000 and 70,000 pounds of thrust. And then the top speed of the aircraft, so here's the top speed of the aircraft. The aircraft's top speed is 593 miles per hour. The cruising speed is 567 miles per hour. Range is 7,850 nautical miles. The ceiling is 43,000 feet, so that's like the maximum height the aircraft can fly. And the accommodations are two pilots and 242,359 passengers. So that is the stats of the 787. I just had to like read that because yes, once again, it is my favorite aircraft overall. Really cool to see all the. And here's another like picture of the stats right there. And then you got all the various like components, photos of the 787 interior featuring business class, and then the passenger experience right there. So you can pause and read that. And overall, it's real nice. So here's the tail of November 787 Bravo X-Ray. You got the Dreamliner tiles right there and the 787 tail. And oh my god, so here we are. Well, I'm gonna go into this later, but here we have the first ever Boeing 747 named the city of Everett. This is also so cool to see, but we're gonna leave this off from right here, but I'm gonna jump into like the 747. Actually, I do wanna like leave this here because I also wanna jump into some video clips about the 747. So here's the first Boeing 747, November 747-0, and overall, it's really cool to see the first ever produced Boeing 747 ever. So really cool to see that. Now let's jump into some video clips. So of course I got a video clip of me exploring this Boeing 747. So with that being said, let's get into the video clips. Say hello to the Queen of the Skies. Yes, this is the first ever Boeing 747 100. As you can see here, going around. Wow. What a feeling this is to be inside the, well, seeing the first ever Boeing 747 produced in Everett, Washington in 1969. Man. Wow. Look at that. So this is of course, it is a quad plane. And here is the registration right there, November 747. Is that us? 0? I think. Yeah, November 7470. I think that's like the name of this airplane right there. And man, look how huge that tail is. Wow. Alright, let's get into the 747 photos. So once again, this is the first ever Boeing 747 ever built. This is a 747-100 registered November 7470. And as you can see, it is in Boeing's house livery. And overall, I think it's really nice to see this aircraft displayed here at the Museum of Flight. As you can see, you got the iconic hump right there with the 3 windows, and then you got the red sheet line and the gray underbelly, and then you got the aircraft name, which is the city of Everett. So really cool to see this right here. And then you got all the various customers that ordered the 747, so I'll just name them. Not gonna really name everything, but I'll just mention them. So here we go. So you got Pan Am, Lufthansa, Japan Airlines, BOAC, TWA, Air France, American, Northwest, United, there's Aer Lingus, and then there's National Airlines. I thought it was gonna be like a Sun Country at first, but this is actually a National Airlines. And then you got Eastern, there's Delta, there's Qantas, you got SAS, Scandinavian, Braniff International, El Al, Air Canada, I'm guessing Iran Air, and then you also got Iberia as well. So a lot of customers ordered a 747, and overall, really nice to see all the customers here and painted or printed in this aircraft right here. So yeah, these are various images I got of the 747. So I was trying to like look for the best pictures. So here's one of them. Here's the concept model of the 747. So it originally looked like an A380 almost. As you can see, the top portion is like extends all the way at the empennage area, so it almost looks like an A380, but it has only one deck. Not sure if there's like another deck at the top, but as you can see, it has 4 engines, and then yeah, the cockpit windows are right there. And then you got the city of Everett. This is the 747-100 or RA001, and then it has like various descriptions right there. And then you can see all the flight attendants, like all the flight attendants that ordered the 747. So you can see Japan Airlines, Pan Am, American, and then yeah, all the customers that are listed right here. So really cool. And then here's the description right there. And then you got the Queen of the Skies and the specifications of the aircraft, and then the city of Everett. And then you got the father of the 747, Joe Sutter. There's like pretty nice description right here. So as you can see, it talks about Sutter's like connections with the Boeing company, and as you can see, and how he developed the 747 project right there. So really amazing guy, and overall, he was like really an icon in the aviation industry. And yeah. And here's the back area, or the empennage area of November 7470. As you can see, you got the big tail, the giant tail of the 747, and it's really huge when I like stand up close to it. It's very big, I'll say. So, and yeah, there's like one of the back like exit doors right there. Boeing 747-100, the Museum of Flight, gratefully acknowledges Sweet and Dave, like all the various acknowledges, and then yeah. And then you also got like all the various like stuff right there. More pictures right there, same photo as I showed before. Flight crew, and then you could pause and read everything, all that. And then all the various like air travel during like the 70s. And then here's the 747 prototype. Of course, it talks about the 747 prototype, November 7470 or Romeo Alpha 001. And yeah, the 747, just an icon in the aviation industry, had its first flight in 1969, and as of today, the 747 has ended its production after the last rollout in 2022 or December 2022, and the final delivery on January 31st of 2023 to Atlas Air November 863 Golf Tango, which is a 747-8 freighter. The 747 really has a big connection to me for many reasons, and yeah, it's really cool to learn about the history of the 747, and it's all thanks to the Incredibles who made the first 747 at the Everett plant in Everett, Washington, which is of course the first aircraft they produced in this plant right here. So it is the world's largest building by volume. So you can see all the various 747s that are being built there. So it's really cool to see all the 747s. A lot of Pan Ams, but you also got TWA right there. I think this Twin Globes livery, I guess. And then you can see Lufthansa and more TWAs right there. And there's a JL too. And here's the specifications of the 747. I'll just read them for the sake of it. So 190 feet, excuse me. So the span of the aircraft is 195 feet and 8 inches. Length of the aircraft is 231 feet and 4 inches. Height is 63 feet and 5 inches. Wing area is 5,500 square feet. Weight load, so when the aircraft is loaded, it weighs 735,000 pounds. Empty weight is 370,860 pounds. And this aircraft, well, more in particular, the 747-100s, are powered by 4 Pratt & Whitney JT9D engines with 43,000 pounds of thrust. So, really powerful thrust. And then here's the performance of the aircraft. Cruise speed is 640 miles per hour. Range of the aircraft is 6,000 miles. Ceiling is 45,000 feet. And yeah, accommodates 3 crew, 12 to 14 flight attendants, 374 passengers, over 550 in the newest configuration. So yeah, the 747 that's your 747 right there, but what's displayed is the 747-100. The 747 throughout its history is of course I think some of you know this, but I'll explain for those who are new to learning about the 747. So there's the 747-100, 747-200, 747-SP, 747-300, the 747-400, which is the popular 747 variant, and the final 747 variant, which is the 747-8, and the newest one, of course. But on that, really cool to see all the various 747 pictures at the Museum of Flight, or the pictures I took of the first 747. And overall, it's really nice to see this aircraft in full, or in person, because it's a legend. It's an icon. The Queen of the Skies is an absolute icon within the aviation industry, so it's really cool to see that right there. Now, I know I was going a little too fast, but I don't want to make this video too long. I mean, we might be around an hour at this point, but on that, we're gonna be moving on to a couple more video clips of me exploring the 747. So with that being said, let's move into those clips. Man, now that is spacious right there. So here's let me just change the ISO. So here's the original design of the 747. You see right there. So yeah, this is one of their concept designs. And this is where they do all the flight testing. Right here. This is interesting. I didn't know the city of Everett was actually a refuel tank. And here is here's the city of Everett testing the new 777 engine. I think these are Pratt & Whitney 4000 engines, I believe. And here is the front side of the aircraft, basically the nose area of the aircraft. I would love to be in the actual being seated in the nose of a 747, but I don't think that's gonna happen since I'm an economy class passenger. Alright, so now we move on to some more roundup pictures. We're gonna start things off with the NASA Boeing 737-100. As a matter of fact, this is actually the first ever made Boeing 737 in general. So this is the first 737-100 to roll out the production line, or the production line, of course. But this is actually really cool to see, and yeah, it came a long way because we have the 737-100, which is the first gen 737, and then we have the 737 Maxes. So as you can see, she is now displayed here at the Museum of Flight, and it still retains the NASA colors. Now I think they use this for research, as most NASA planes do. But on that, this is actually really cool to see this actual aircraft in person. Just a small 737-100. I mean, the 100, it attracted a couple of customers, but I think the 737-200 had it was more popular compared to the 100, but I think that has to do with range. But on that, this is the actual aircraft itself. And as you can see all the people who signed it when this aircraft took its final flight. So their signatures are still there, so that's really cool. Yeah, I got various pictures. And then this is a Langley Research Center. So this is basically a research aircraft. So after not sure if Lufthansa took delivery of this aircraft, because like I know Lufthansa is a launch customer, like the launch customer of this aircraft. And yeah, I got some more like images as well. So like more images of the aircraft. You can see the JT8D engines that powers the first gen 737s, and then you can see a single emergency exit door. The tail design of the 737-100 looks so different compared to most modern 737s. You got the NASA 515, and then you got the aircraft registration November 515 November Alpha. So really cool to see this exact aircraft. And overall, the 737, it's a very popular narrow-body aircraft, and yeah, really nice to see this plane right here. I also got a picture of the launch customers of the customers who ordered the Boeing 787. Some of them, like some airlines like Delta, for example, did not take delivery of these 787s, but ANA, United, Vietnam, JL, all the various like airlines here still have the 787s. And yeah, just like I think this is Jet Airlines, I guess, but they never had a 787 order at all. So like 787 roll out of the factory. Singapore Airlines, I know they have the 7810, so yeah, they still operate some 787s. Qantas also does as well, and Avianca too. Well, this is their old logo, but they operate them in their current logo, and La Polish too, in Virgin Atlantic. And then you can see another row of customers right there. So you can see American, Etihad, Saudia, Norwegian. They used to fly them, but now Norse flies them. Aeroflot used to deliver, like the Aeroflot used to have some orders for the 787s alongside Air Berlin, but they never passed. So yeah, never operated 787s. BA, Air France, KLM, and Thai Airways are still 787 operators alongside with Biman Bangladesh. And then American Airlines too. You can see this is in their old logo, but they have the current logo. And then you can see like the description of the 737 prototype. So yeah, you can pause and read this. You can pause this video, read all this stuff right here. I'm just gonna go through every various like single like areas. But yeah, really nice to see right there. And here is the specifications of the 737 right there. So once again, you can pause and read. And yeah, we're gonna move on to our next aircraft. Well, more engine, like more pictures of the 731, and then tail itself. Here we go. Now we're getting into some military action right here. Right here, we have an F-14 Tomcat in the Jolly Rogers paint scheme. So the F-14 Tomcat, it is my favorite fighter plane after all. But this aircraft is really popular among aviation enthusiasts. And yeah, you got some descriptions right there of the F-14, and then all your specifications. And yeah, the F-14 is honestly really well known because of its appearance on Top Gun. And yeah, it's a good movie. And yeah, it's a very nice like movie in like 1986. And yeah, one of the best aviation movies out there during its time. But yeah, here is the F-14 Tomcat, the star of the movie itself. So yeah, really cool to see some F-14s in museums. They play a pivotal role on most like probably during like some wars in the Middle East. But yeah, those are the planes that were deployed there. But yeah, really cool. So you got the canopy right there, a very nice canopy. And yeah, the F-14 is also known, like, recognizable features is its swept wings. So yeah, whenever it's on takeoff, then the wings will be spreaded out. They'll be swept out. But then when it's on cruise, then they fold back to form a delta wing. So that's a really cool feature of this F-14. And yeah, here's an example right there when it's in the air. Well, it also sweeps its wing outwards just in case. Like, if it ever does some, like, combat missions, or the aircraft is in combat, then they swept these wings out so they can like launch the missiles. They will also do them with the wings swept back. But yeah, and yeah, more shots of the F-14 because yes, Black Aces, and then all your descriptions. They were involved in like aircrafts were deployed during the Gulf of Sidra incident, and then all your various like fights or like dogfights this aircraft is on. Here we go, and then here we have a Harrier right here. I think this was operating for most British, like the Royal Air Force, I think. But yeah, here is well, technically it's an American build, but you would see these more with the Royal Air Force. I think the Royal Air Force had more orders of these like Harriers. So you can see the AV-86C Harrier jet. They have a VTOL capability, and they're also known as a jump jet too. And yeah, here are some more like descriptions right there. You can pause read. I got a picture of the specifications, however, it almost appeared to be blurred out. So yeah, you can see that wasn't like my best shot at it, but this is kind of like the closest representation. So if you can still see like the letters, then yeah, you gotta like make sure that I should have like focused on the specifications of this. But I mean, it still turned out to look nice. And yeah, some more pictures of the Harrier right there, the Harrier jet, and overall it has a very unique looking design. You can see on how the wings are placed in, or like how the wings are mounted, and then you can see one of the oil, like the air tanks right there for aircraft to fly farther. And then you can see the, I'm guessing that could be like the boom, like the boom where the aircraft connects to like one of the air tankers. So I think that's how it will work. So that is the Harrier jet. And man, here we go with another commercial aircraft. Right here we have a United Airlines Boeing 727-100. And this is actually the first ever produced Boeing 727, and it sits here at the Museum of Flight, and it still retains the United Airlines Friendship livery. So that's really cool to see this United 727. So it was actually closed, so I can't enter, but I think there are times where they're like still open. Like there are times where this, like the doors would open so people can come inside. And as you can see, Boeing's only trijet, and yeah, you can see the description of the 727 right there, and the specifications and all like the various facts of the 727 right there. This aircraft is registered November 7001 uniform. And yeah, I think United Airlines was the launch customer, or yeah, United Airlines took delivery of this aircraft, and then yeah, they've been flying that plane for many years until she retired it from the fleet. And this aircraft, and I think Boeing brung that 727 to the Museum of Flight to have it displayed at the Aviation Pavilion. And yeah, here are the specifications right there. Really cool trijet from Boeing right there. Once again, their only trijet, and as you can see, 727 titles on the, I'm guessing, number 2 engine. And then you can see these are Pratt & Whitney. I'm guessing they are JT8Ds. Am I right? JT8D turbofans. Yes, I'm correct. So the 737 and the 727, well, the 737 Classics and the 727 both had JT8D engines, and yeah, they produce a very nice sound on many of these like planes that operated alongside the MD-80 as well from McDonnell Douglas. And then here's another shot of the tail itself, so you can see November 7001 uniform. Gemini Jets did a Saul Bass version of this model, I think somewhere around the like late October, like I think it was in the October or September 2024 releases, and they did it on the Saul Bass livery. So really cool that they managed to do that. Hopefully I can see that in 1/4 scale in the future, but other than that, this aircraft retains the Friendship livery, and I actually do have an Aeroclassics model of this model right here. So it was still in the Friendship livery, and yeah, Aeroclassics made this model in 1/4 scale, and I was able to pick it up at Airliners International 2023 in Dallas, Texas. So really nice to finally have this particular aircraft after seeing this plane at the Museum of Flight. Alright, so that is it for this round of photos, so we're gonna move on to some more video clips. Now, I was able to see the Concorde itself. It was my first time seeing the Concorde, so the next video clips will show me exploring the Concorde, and my god, that is just a legendary and iconic aircraft. So, super excited to get into the videos of the Concorde, so without being said, let's get into those videos right now. Alrighty guys, so in this video, I'm gonna be going inside the legendary Concorde. This was actually my first time seeing an actual Concorde in person, and even though it's not flying anymore, it's really amazing to get to see this aircraft. Wow. Alright, so let's head in. Let's head inside, boys. Let me turn down my ISO real quick. And probably turn down my aperture. Oh man. Look at the spacing here. Wow. It's a bit crowded, and here are like all the controls of the aircraft right here. And here is a very interesting fact of one Concorde by British Airways. The Concorde Golf Bravo Oscar Alpha Delta holds the time record for crossing the Atlantic Ocean for 2 hours, 52 minutes, and 59 seconds. And here's another fast fact. One Concorde was used by scientists to chase a solar eclipse across the globe, from the Canary Islands to Chad on June 30th, 1973. Wow, that's interesting. And here's something cool. When you're like inside the Concorde, and when the Concorde is actually traveling, you can actually see like the altitude. It reads the altitude on where you're traveling at and reads the Mach. So, like I said, this is Mach 2 at 55,500 feet. So yeah, that's technically like the Concorde's cruising altitude and cruising speed. So yeah, that is totally fast. Alright, and let's move on to the pictures of the one and only Concorde. So it was really cool to see the Concorde in person. This was my first time seeing a Concorde. And yeah, the Concorde is an engineering marvel in aviation. So as you can see, here's our first photo right here. So here's the forward area of the Concorde, looking very different compared to an actual airplane, like an actual commercial plane you see today. You got a very tall nose landing gear right there, and then you can see all the windows. Now the purpose for these windows is they had to like make them smaller because of the aircraft's speed, because this thing travels fast at very high altitude. So engineers wanted to make the windows smaller compared to regular commercial planes. So that's the reason why the Concorde's windows are small right there. Moving on to this picture right here, so you can see, I'm guessing this is all economy seats, like this is in the economy section, because like there's also first class section on the Concorde. So this is arranged in a 2-2 configuration, and yeah, if you were to purchase a ticket on a Concorde, then yeah, those cost a ton of money. So you have to be like some kind of person who owns like a business or like his business entrepreneur in order to fly the Concorde. But yeah, I bet for the people who've flown on the Concorde had a really cool experience. Just want to try to like fix things up a bit on camera. Okay, so moving on to the next picture right there, you can see the Chatham Dockyard tail, and then you can see the aircraft registration, Golf Bravo Oscar Alpha Golf, and you can see the nose wheel, like not really nose, the tail wheel. So this is like there because like it tends to like have a higher angle of attack when it lands, so they put this there in order to prevent like a tail skid on the aircraft. Because like, yeah, that's another key feature of the Concorde right there. You can see the famous Rolls-Royce Olympus 593 engines right there. There are 4 in this aircraft, and then you can see the mainland gear right there. So really cool to see these. They're very loud. If you were to like stand close, like for those people who are standing close to London Heathrow, and then that thing takes off right like close to their homes, it is like literally loud. I wish I could experience that when I'm in like London or JFK, but these Concordes has since then been like, these Concordes were retired in 2004, and then there are none of them flying. But there's a future supersonic aircraft that hopefully will start commercial service around the 2030s. But the Concorde is like the original supersonic aircraft right there. And then here's their main landing gear right there. You can see the aircraft is chalk right there. And then you can see the description of the Concorde right there, so you can pause and read all this information. Air France and British Airways were the only Concorde operators right there, and this aircraft's first flight was back in 1969. And yeah, these are made by 2 aircraft companies. I'm not sure how I can pronounce this, but this is how like I can pronounce this name, but this is also like from the British Aerospace Aircraft Group. So yeah, those are the 2 aircraft manufacturers that built the Concorde right there, and then you can see all the specifications of the plane. And yeah, once again, a full video will be on that in the card down below. So I provided like a full video talking about the Concorde, and yeah, you can see all this stuff right there. Here's the front of the Concorde. You can see the famous nose, which droops down when the aircraft takes off or land, but it's in this position when the aircraft's in supersonic flight. So that's really cool right there. And then you can see part of the Concorde and a United plane right there. Like, I know it's blocking this part of the Concorde, but still, it's a Concorde. And then you can see the timeline of the Concorde, talking about like its history for the first flight and the first delivery of the plane. And then you can see the decline of the Concorde after the Air France incident in 2000. Where can I find that? I mean, it's somewhere over there, but I know it happened in 2000. But yeah. If you guys know what incident I'm referring to, then yeah. And then more pictures of the beautiful Concorde, as you can see. Trying to get some good shots of the Concorde's nose and all that stuff. And then you can see Golf Bravo Oscar Alpha Golf being delivered to the Museum of Flight back in November 5th of 2003. And then you can see another picture of the tail with the red Golf Bravo Oscar Alpha Golf. And yeah. And then here's like a front shot, like a top shot, like a wing shot of the Concorde, that amazing looking delta wing of the aircraft right there. And then another front shot, or like the forward shot of the plane right there. So yeah. Next up we have the Air Force One Boeing 707 right there. Really cool to also feature this picture as well. This is like I can remember like this aircraft used to operate during JFK's presidency, and then later Lyndon B. Johnson's, and then all the other presidents before that get transferred into the Air Force One on the 747-200 as we know today. And then this is the Air Force One is the description. This is actually the Boeing VC-137B, and yeah, it's the presidential aircraft for the Boeing 707. So you can see flying Oval Office, a lot of descriptions right there, and then you can see like a specially built 707-120C. And yeah, I think this was the first presidential jet plane, and it's painted in this livery right there. And then more descriptions right there, and then the specifications of the 707 right there. And then here's like a very funny thing. So I took this picture because while I was on the Museum of Flight, my Instagram page hit 737 followers, and what a better way to post a picture of the first Boeing 707, not Boeing 707, what a good way to like get a picture of the first 737 as soon as my Instagram account hit 737 followers. So that was a really clever idea. So here's that picture right there, the first 737 and hitting 737 followers. So I thought this was rather fitting because yes. So yeah, very fitting picture right there. And more pictures of November 7470. You can see all the customers right there. So Delta, Eastern, National Airlines, United, American. Yeah, I kind of like don't want to go over it, but yeah, you can see all the airline logos right there. And the aircraft name, City of Everett. And then here's another shot of the 787 Dreamliner. I'm guessing this was the designer. Yeah, like I think I talked about this already, but yeah, here's the 787 Dreamliner right there. You got the Rolls-Royce Trent 1000 engines right there. Always never gets old to see a beautiful Dreamliner at the Museum of Flight. And then there's another, like a front shot of the aircraft right there. Looking pretty cool. This is like a portrait shot. And then here's the Trent 1000. This is the number 1 engine right there. And then you can see the 787 tail as well. And more shots of the 787. Here is a real cool aircraft. This is operating for TWA. This is the DC-2. So as you can see, this is a really cool aircraft. I immediately thought this was a Douglas DC-3 at first, but I don't think TWA operated a DC-3 throughout its like operation. So here it is, the Douglas DC-2, which almost looks a resemblance of a DC-3 almost. But I think there's like a bit of difference compared to a DC-3 because like the DC-3 is a more popular aircraft in like the Douglas suite. So you can see the description of the DC-2. And then you can see all the specifications right there. And this also operated for, well, this is the house livery of the DC-2. But I'm guessing this could be, the DC-2 is like a shortened version of the DC-3. And the first flight of this aircraft is 1934. Correct me if I'm wrong, because like, I only know much of the DC-3. Well, here I go, there it is. So, the DC-3 first flew in 1935, and it was an improved version of the DC-2. There we go. So, yeah. This didn't have like all the various like advancements compared to a DC-3, but I think it's almost the same length as the DC-2. Like the DC-3 and the DC-2 are almost the same lengths. So yeah, here are the specifications right there. And then you can see this United aircraft. This is the City of Renton, and this is like a Boeing model. What is this? A Model 247D. So this is operating for United Airlines. And it's in their their own livery for the Model 247. And then you can see the Pratt & Whitney engines right there. Really cool aircraft, and this is like one of the first commercial turboprops or piston-driven airplanes during the 30s. So this aircraft first flew in 1933, and this was it's an all-metal stress skin construction and a fully cantilever wing. So you can see like there's basically nothing, anything that's placed under the wing. And then you can see all the various like stuffs right there, descriptions. Once again, you can pause and read this if you like. And then you can see all the other specifications right there. And we're gonna stop right there because I also want to have like a separate video talking about the Red Barn at the Museum of Flight. So like the first ever Boeing plant. So I'm gonna pause it right here, but we're gonna move on to the next video clip talking about the boat. Well, not really video clip because I don't have any video clips of the Red Barn, but I also provide a video description, provide the next clip about like all the pictures I got of the Red Barn. So with that being said, let's move on to the next set of pictures for the Boeing Red Barn. And now we move on to the photos I took of Boeing's first ever manufacturing plant otherwise known as the Red Barn. Really cool to see this in person, and yeah, this shows Boeing's history during the early beginnings in 1916. So here's the exterior of the Red Barn. So as you can see, as the name applies, it's just a red barn, almost like a farmhouse, like something type deal, but this is actually the manufacturing plant for Boeing airplane companies back when they used to make seaplanes. So here's the exterior, and yeah, once again, it's on a rainy day, and it was also overcast in Seattle on that day as well. Here's the interior on what it looked like, and honestly, it looks really nice, and it almost looks like an actual 1910s built structure. So as you can see all like the wooden support beams right there, and then you can see the wooden ceiling supporters over there. So yeah, really cool right there. And then you can see all the various like paintings and some artifacts as well, and then you can see like the mini sculpture of the Red Barn right there. So that's that. As we move on to more photos right here, so here's like one of the machines they built, like one of like the early plans on how they manufactured the Boeing aircrafts back then. So really cool on how they actually had like steering wheels, like those almost look like steering wheels when I look at it. And then you can see some seats right there. So yeah, this is like once again during like the early stages of like Boeing's manufacturing stuff. So yeah, there's that, and then you can see all the various like information that you can see right there. Here's Boeing's like one of the early Boeing logos right back then. So yeah, Boeing, and then you can see Seattle's, and it just shows a bird. So yeah, once again, this is like one of the first logos for Boeing before they before the current one you see today. Here's some more pictures right there. So this is kind of like a biplane, if I were to take a guess, but you can see all like the structural support beams, like all the various like, what are those called again? I'm trying to like figure out, because that's basically shapes the airplane. Yeah, it's kind of like a monocoque structure right there. So it's not a semi-monocoque aircraft, because like that's like planes that were built back then. So as you can see, there's some support beams at least, but it's not like, I don't think it's really as sturdy as what most planes you see today. But yeah, this is what like the early planes look like. They used to be like biplanes and triplanes. So, and yeah, like Boeing had some seaplanes back then. Like they first built seaplanes during like the 1960s when the company first formed. Here's a picture or like a plaque of Wang Su, who was the first Boeing engineer back in 1916, and here's all this like information on how long he was there for. So 1893 to 1965, and then you can see all the dedications, like the Boeing Company, Boeing Asian American Professional Association, and all your various companies right there. So really cool guy, and yeah, really nice to see this plaque right there. Here's a picture of all the Boeing workers back when the Boeing plant first was in operation for the first time, and yeah, you can see a lot of men and women as well. So yeah, that's that. And yeah, that's basically it for all the pictures of the Boeing Red Barn. I hope I could try to go back to the Red Barn at some point when I come back to the museum of flight, so I can provide some videos for you guys. But unfortunately, I did not make any videos while I was there. So, but yeah, once again, hopefully when I come back there, I'll make sure to get some videos for you guys. And now we move on to some more pictures. These are just like miscellaneous photos of like other exhibits I explored during the museum of flight. So inside here is a US Air Boeing 737, and as you can see, these are the cockpits of the 737, and this is actually the 737 air seater. So there's after you go to the entrance and then you see all the planes, like when you turn left, then there's like a 737, a US Air 737 that's on your left side, and that's actually an air seater. So you can sit in one of the seats and then you can watch a movie there. But if you just like to explore the cockpit, then here's the cockpit itself. So as you can see the attitude indicator right there, all your various gauges and all that stuff, your throttles and your trims areas like that, like all your trims, the FMC, and then all your overhead panels right there. This is actually a 737-200, and you can see here it is. So here's like an exterior of the aircraft. So once again, this used to be a 737-200 operating for US Air, and that aircraft is registered in November. It has the ship number of 213, so this used to be November 213 Uniform Sierra. So this came from an actual 737-200 from US Air. And then you can see all the various like seats over there. So this is arranged in a 2-2 configuration, and I'm assuming this is like, I'm guessing business class seats. Once again, this is the only portion of the 737 is just like the forward area. So this is all blocked off right here. But as you can see all the various like overhead bins right there. And then you can see the 737 airliner seater. And then you can see this exhibit and film cannot be possible without the generous support of our following companies and organizations. So of course, US Air, State of Washington, the MJ Murdoch Charitable Trust, and the Boeing Company, and Air Canada, and you can see BE Aerospace right there. So all your various like companies you see right there on this plaque. Here's a really cool, interesting aircraft, but it's not technically the SR-71 Blackbird. This is actually the A-12, which is kind of like the first iteration before the SR-71 Blackbird. And I think these aircraft are known to travel at very high speeds at like high altitude, similar to what the Concorde does. But the thing is, for this particular aircraft, I think these are used for like experimental purposes only. So yeah, as you can see, it's almost like similar to the Blackbird, but I think the Blackbird style, the style of the Blackbird, it's different compared to the A-12. So this is operating for the US Air Force, and then you can see all the engines right there. So it's a really big airplane, I'll say. I mean, it kind of looks smaller when I look at it, but it's actually bigger when you stand close to it. So you can see some people right there just stay close to the main landing gear of that aircraft, and you can really tell how big that aircraft is. And once again, not really as big as the SR-71 Blackbird, but still, it's a really big aircraft. So that is the A-12 right there, and then I'll probably provide some more pictures when I go back to the Museum of Flight about this particular plane. But still, it's a really cool aircraft that the US Air Force used to operate. Yeah, you can see some pictures right there, more pictures, and then you can see some cockpit trainers. Like, I'm guessing this could be some fighter jet cockpit trainers, and then you can see a Lockheed L-12 Electra. I'm guessing that's an L-12 Electra if I were to take a guess. I remember the style of it, or maybe that might be an L-10, but I'm not really quite sure. And then you can see all your various like fighter planes right there, your biz jets, and then all your other aircrafts like biplanes, and all your various like old airplanes back then. And then there's also helicopters too. So yeah, more pictures of the A-12 right there, and then you can see some more planes on display on the ceiling, like hanging from the ceiling. And then here's another shot of the US Air 737. So it's really cool that they display this as like an air museum. And then you can see some models right there, like big scale models like a Mexicana aircraft right there. So yeah, this is really cool. And then you can see, like, this is what it looks like when you're standing from the first floor, and yeah, that's the 737 right there. So yeah, really cool to see this up close. Love the polished chrome on this particular aircraft. And then you can see, I'm guessing that could be a DC-3 when I look at it. So here is a DC-3. That's kind of like my particular guess, because I saw the DC-2 at the Aviation Pavilion. So I'm guessing this could be the DC-3. Yeah, more pictures. Here's the aircraft I mentioned before. I think I already mentioned the aircraft's name in like one of the first few clips of the video. And the last round of photos we'll be taking a look at is the gift shop. So yeah, here we are at the last part of the pretty much all the photos I have from the Museum of Flight. And of course, why not end it off with a gift shop? Because yes. So yeah, here is the gift shop. I think you would find this close to the entrance of the Museum of Flight. So like close to the very entrance of the museum. And yeah, there is the gift shop right there. So as you can see, there's a lot of like appeals, and then there's also models, and then you can also get some like other stuff for, you know what, like for this amount of money. But we got some like cool stuff to take a look at. But I'm just mostly here for the models. But yes, there are models in there, but there's also like Darren's and Gemini Jet Skymarks. But I'm gonna show you guys the pictures right now. So we're gonna so yeah, this is like the first picture. This is kind of like the outside of the gift shop right there. So yeah, as you can see, let me zoom in a little closer. So as you can see, you got some like, I'm guessing those are like books, and then you got some t-shirts. This was during June, so like that's the reason why you see all these rainbows. But once again, like it's Pride Month during this time, so I mean, like, I don't really care who you are, but for as long as you are always welcome to my channel. So that's kind of like a thing I do want to say. But yeah, you can also see some like other things for little kids, and then you can see a barcode right there. But the models is what I'm really here for. So let's move on to our next picture, which is this Gemini 200. This is like a really cool Gemini 200 model right there. This is a Boeing KC-46 for the United States Air Force. This is from the 97's AMW, and this model costs $132.95, which it's a really hefty price, I gotta say. So you're gonna need you need a lot of money in order to afford this model. Once again, this is a 1-200 model. And then there's also a member price. So if you're like a member of the museum flight, then you can get this at a much cheaper price. I mean, it's $113.01, but still, that is still a lot of money. But at least it's better than getting it in like at a cost of $102.95. So that is the KC-46 right there from Gemini 200. And here is the C-17 Globemaster, also by Gemini 200. Really cool to see this. I think this is from the Altus Air Force Base. So as you can see, once again, you get some really good high quality Gemini Jets models right there. And yes, they were selling Gemini Jets models in the museum flight. So it's really cool to see Gemini Jets models here in the museum. And yeah, really cool to see all these models on display right here. So once again, this is the C-17 Globemaster from Gemini 200. This is from the Altus Air Force Base. And the price of that model is, yeah, you could explain it. So the price of that model is $130.95, but if you're a member, then you can get it for this amount of money right there. So still a lot of money, but hey, it's how the museum works. And now let's move on to our next photo, which look at this plethora of Gemini Jets models right here. You got 1-400 models right there, and then you got a couple of 1-200 models right there. So I do want to start from the top shelf with some TWA planes right there. So you got a TWA 717, a 757-200 also right there. Moving on to the second shelf, you got the Alaska 737-900ER in the UNCF livery, and a UPS Boeing 747-Shade freighter. And on the bottom, you can see 2 Alaska planes. Both of them are in One World liveries. Those are also by Gemini Jets, by the way. One is in 1/400 scale, and then you can see one in 1/200 scale. And I'm not sure if you guys are seeing it on the frame. If I could try to zoom in, you can see a Southwest 737 MAX 8 right there, and then you can also see the 1/200 counterpart right there. And as you can see by the price, this price is almost similar to like the Gemini Jets retail price. Like literally, like off the bat, these prices right here. So this 1/400 Alaska 737-900ER, that's $49.95. That's literally like the exact same price as what you see on the Gemini Jets official website under MSRP, but also on the Gemini Jets store. But yeah, that's still a lot of money for a 1/400 737-900ER. Usually that's about like, I think around 39 something dollars right there. But still, that's still a lot. That's big money right there. So yeah, but you can also get this from the Alaska Company store at a much cheaper price and a better price than $49. So yeah, might as well go for the Alaska Company store. And then when you look at the 1/200 counterparts, $96.95, that's close to $100, which once again, you can also get this from the Alaska Company store at a much cheaper price. But yeah, that's how the pricing is for all these 1/400 and 1/200 models here at the Museum of Flight. And I ended up buying some models from this retail, like from the Museum of Flight. So as you can see, I bought a couple of models from this shelves right here. If you haven't seen Master Unboxing 4, then it shows you all the models I got from that Museum of Flight haul. So I'll pop up on the card that's going to be coming up on your screen right there on the top right corner, and then you can check out Master Unboxing 4 right there. So yeah, what is it, like pretty much 3 years since nearly 3 years since I uploaded Master Unboxing 4, so that's how long it has been. But my gosh, that sure was a long time right there. So yeah, you can see all the Gemini Jets models right there. Here's another, the section. This is a wider section of the Gemini Jets tape, section, the Gemini Jets shelf right there. You can also see some United 787s in 1/400 scale. So you got a 787-9 and 787-10 right there, all in Evil Blue liveries. And then you can see you have to ask for assistance if you want these models or not. And yeah. And then you can see a 1/100 scale Alaska 737. I'm not sure if I can put this in the frame, but there's a 1/200 Alaska 737-900, just 900ER basically, for $219.95, and it's a 1:100 scale model. That's literally sitting on top of the Gemini Jet's shelf right there, so that's insane to see that. And then, not sure if you can see this on my camera as well, but there's also some sky marks as well. And there we go, so here are some sky marks right here. So you can see Alaska 737 and Fly with Pride A320s and the 707 Air Force One and United 787s. And I'm guessing those can be Hogan wings, I guess. Those might be from Hogan, if I were to take a guess, or Darren. But there's also a 1-200 Airbus A380 as well, so that's really cool to see as well. Yeah, really cool to see. Honestly, it's really cool to see all these models in a museum. While they come at a hefty price, if I could just like buy models, then yeah, that's good. But yet again, like it's either worth it or not, because you can also get these on some stores that has like a cheaper price than what you see on the museum. So other than that, it's really cool to see all these models right here, and I can't complain too much. But other than that, that's what aviation enthusiasts are here for, just the models, because they love collecting models. And yeah, once again, if you haven't seen Master Unboxing 4, then I would highly check it out on all the models I got. So that is it for all the pictures I got from the museum flight. And my god, there were a lot of photos, like pretty much just videos. It's already 1 hour and 30 minutes. That probably already past that. Who knows, it might be 2 hours. But yeah, that's just how long this video is, because of how many photos I got, and pretty much like me assessing through all the photos and all the various aircrafts that are displayed in this museum. But hopefully I could try to make another video out of this like whole museum flight tour, but kind of like in a shortened and more simpler, like just me doing videos and show you guys all the stuff. But other than that, those are all the pictures I got. I got one final video clip from that museum of flight tour, which is me showcasing all the models I got from the gift shop. So with that being said, let's roll into that portion of that video, and then we're gonna conclude this video from here. So with that being said, let's roll into the final video clip. Alrighty guys, so I just got everything from the Museum of Flight, and yeah, I guess that's about it. So what I'm gonna be doing is pretty much ending this video off here, since that's basically my day in the Museum of Flight. And yeah, it was quite fun. Got a lot of airplane photos, and yeah, really amazing. And that concludes my tour of the Museum of Flight. To summarize, I would highly recommend visiting this museum if you're a fan of aviation. From all the amazing aircrafts they have on display, to the various exhibits, there's a lot to explore when you step inside. But as mentioned before, I hope I can return to the Museum of Flight in the future. That way, I can provide more video clips and pictures for you guys. So, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and turn on that post notification bell so you won't miss a video like this anytime soon. And if you want to see more aviation museum tours I did, then you can click on my Aviation Museums Tours playlist, and it shows you all the videos I did during my past aviation museum visits. And possibly there's gonna be more coming in the future. So, that's it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Anyways, good night.